क्या 100 रुपये में तो दे दूँगा, तस्वीर किसी दे दी, ये बोल रहा हूँ, अभी ले ले मुझसे अभी.
This is my sex appeal, so, but it certainly did help. Taking risks, yes, I did. Because I was just 22 when I qualified from England, and I had a 9-month job in Iran with Bini Mother, the leading firm at that time, and Ferguson, and I realized that I really was not meant to be a traditional auditor. It wasn't just my cup of tea, and I sort of decided this is not the career. At the same time, I wanted a career which was not purely accounting either. So I took the risk of joining Abbott Laboratories, which when I joined had done only 1 crore in sales every year. I joined Abbott on 1st December 1970 when it had just done 1 crore in sales. So I did take a risk because I had the options of joining much larger organizations, some of the leading multinationals, but I decided to go that route. Being at the right place at the right time, perhaps, because I took a risk. And let me tell you, some of you may not have been born at that time, that the 70s was a very troubling time because Mr. Bhutto came in and brought in generics and there was a lot of instability. But I stuck it out. Okay, and in terms of luck, well, somebody must have thought I was lucky because it reminded me of Napoleon, because when he used to give commands of an army to a general, he used to call him and say, I know you're a good general, but are you a lucky one too? Can you win battles? Maybe somebody looked into my eyes, my superior, and thought I was a lucky guy, and I would take Abbott where it did. And lastly, maybe up there was good to me, he was kind to me, and he said, I trusted him. As Shakespeare said, some people are born great, some people achieve greatness, and some people have greatness thrust upon them. But maybe it was that as well. In my opinion, it was a bit of all. It was a bit of all. But when I look back and reflect as to what really helped me achieve that position, and I said I did not recognize it at that time. I came across this when I was the chairman of the Karachi Stock Exchange in 2008 and 9, when all hell broke loose in Pakistan and the rest of the world with the financial collapse, and there were severe problems. And Mr. Geithner, who's currently the Treasury Secretary of the United States, made a statement, and he said, a crisis is too important an opportunity to lose. And gentlemen, I honestly think, and I'll tell you why I believe this was perhaps the most important reason why I got the job. Now, this is what I have to say. 5 weeks after I had joined Abbott Laboratories, I came to office about an hour late, and I walked into the office. I came to the office, parked my car, and I saw all the workers were outside in the lawn. None of my business, I said. So I went to my office and in-trooped in every departmental manager. And the personnel and administration manager. That was the man HR was not the word. He had died the night before. And the managing director at that time had left the country a day earlier for 3 weeks on work and holiday. And these guys are saying that because of Mr. De Cruz had died, we all want to take a casual leave and attend his funeral and condole. So I said, and we don't know what to do. I said, what do you mean you don't know what to do? He said, we can't take a decision. I said, you can't take a decision, so why me? Now let me tell you, Pakistan is actually a referral power. Now if you are a friend of an important man, people think you are important also. Now I happen to be sitting in the office where my predecessor sat before he got promoted. So we said, look, we can't do because if we force it, there'll be a problem of discipline. So I said, what do you think it should be done? He said, हमारे ख्याल में उनको casualty दे दे treatment. दे देते हैं, हम तो नहीं लेंगे किसी. I said, do each one of you agree? He said, yes. Okay, so write it down. And I said, okay, we all agree that we give them the day off. So we did. And what happened afterwards, that for 5 years, and because 71 was a terrible year for Pakistan, things had started to fall apart. For 5 years, the personnel and administration manager was not replaced. And I became the de facto personnel manager of that country. And I negotiated personally agreements. But it also resulted in me coming to know the union leaders rather well. I came to know them and I came to respect them actually. Not everything they said was wrong. And they were not all, renegades or scoundrels. They had some genuine requirements. And even though we could not comply with them or give it to them, they were not bad people, I think. And it really helped me a lot. because when I became the managing director, this relationship really helped me. Okay. Fast forward 18 months to 2 years, our procurement manager, the materials management का भी word कोई नहीं हुआ था भाई. Right? These are the days of telexes. Okay, there was no mobile, no email. He died. He died, and 73 was a terrible year. Mr. Bhutto had brought in the generics. Multinational was threatening to leave. Abbott said, "We don't want to invest any money." So he said, "यार देखो ये मर गया, जब तक उसका replacement नहीं आएगा, तो आप मेरे पास के ये भी job करो." I did that. And till the day I became the chief executive, I remained heavily procured. And again, it was something which fundamentally gave me a lot of information, because if those of you who are not from the pharmaceutical industry will realize there is severe and a savage price control in it. And that's one of the reasons why the industry has not done as well as it should be. And I'll tell you why it helped me to develop sources like China. We pioneered, Abbott Pakistan pioneered the development of China as a source of raw material for whole of Africa. Okay? So I thought that this again came my way. I did not say no. I didn't grab it. They said, "Kar lo main." And then in 1975, Abbott decided that we might just stick around, but we can't stick around with this third-rate manufacturing facility. We've got to upgrade it. And we looked around, and mind you, this is a very small company. Okay, there were not too many people around. They said, "Yeah, would you be the owner representative, meaning coordinating the head office engineers and our local management into," because they were shut down, they were phasing out, etc. So, and that gave me another excellent opportunity to become familiar with the manufacturing processes, GMP, and so on and so forth. So, मैं समझता हूँ कि all the things that I've said must have helped, I mean, my good looks or whatever. But at the end of the day, there must have been something in me that must have said कि भाई this guy is maybe deserves it more. और देखिए उस ज़माने में ये बात नहीं थी कि अंदर में खाना राज है. Because my colleagues who were with me, they were outstanding men, and they achieved great success in Abbott, in Pakistan and outside. And neither was there a dearth of expatriates. उस ज़माने में expatriates were infesting the multinationals. The companies smaller than Abbott had foreign chief executives. So, but at the end of the day, I think he was good to me, and I landed up in that position. And I stayed there for 29 years, and I have no regrets. I have no regrets, because I met every single leader from Mr. Bhutto down. I'm still working. I still meet all of them. But I even met Mr. Bhutto in, I think it was May, Karachi, when we called a meeting and called some businessmen, and Abbott was one of them. Okay, so this is judgment. So I don't know what lessons you will draw from it. But the lesson that if I were to live my life again, I would say, okay, yeah, you have to go the extra mile. You have to aspire to be more than what you are if you really want to achieve success. Kismat is a great thing also. Luck is a great thing, because my predecessor told me, "Kamran, you come here, I promise you, in 7 years I will be out of this place." Because I'm ambitious, I want to go abroad. And he went abroad and retired. He did very well with Abbott, he became vice president, and so I got this opportunity. It's a risk I took. But anyway, it's for you to draw what lessons you have to. But in my little way, I feel this additional information which came my way, and I did not decline. I did not complain, "Can we give me extra money?" I said, "Fine, I'll do it." But it also helped me to interact with departmental heads of other disciplines, understand their needs, etc. And again, I think it's something which is very useful to me, because I have very good relations with the people who work for me. So ये तो जनाब कहानी थी कि how I think I got to the place. Now I'll tell you कि I remember I was coming back on KLM from Chicago to Karachi, and I was told, "What will you tell your people that you become the managing director?" I'm not a great orator, and neither am I a great philosopher. I remember I was sitting at the back of KLM, whose zamane mein there was either first class or economy, and I was not entitled to first class. I was sitting in the economy, and I said, "What will I tell this guy?" The youngest was 4 years older than me, and the oldest was 15 years older than I. I said, "What will I tell this people? What message do I give them?" And I was just thinking about it, and I landed. I got to Abbott. My predecessor was leaving that very afternoon. The whole company was assembled. I mumbled a few words for all the companies. I was jet lagged, and I went home. Fortunately, it was Sunday, and I thought about it. And when I called my direct reports, I gave 3 or 4 very simple messages. I remember I used the word meter 00. I said, gentlemen, you and I, all of us get on well. I have no misgivings and no prejudices against any one of you. But as far as I am concerned, your relationship with me starts from 000. Okay? We start afresh because you have to do something for me. And I promise you, I will return that. Secondly, I said, as managers, your job is to give me, in the clearest possible terms, your advice. In a logical, forceful, and honest manner. And I promise you, even if it's against what I think, I will not hold that against you. However, in the event the decision I take is different to the one you recommended, you must assume that decision is your own and will follow it and execute it as if it was your own, because that is something which is very fundamental. Maybe thoda bahut management kitabin padha karta tha, and then I also said, I said, look, I promise you that we will share the rewards and glory that come with it. I promise you. And I tell you how I lived up to that. I said, I promise you, I'll share the rewards and glory. And then I called the union. I said, I know you personally. I've dealt with you. I've had 2 intense negotiations for 2 years. Some of your demands are legitimate and fair. But the company was not in a position to meet them. Give me time. And I will meet them. And I said, I will do, and I will promise you that I will bring in some social equality into this company. And I tell you what I did. In the first 30 days of my becoming the managing director, I decided that I will eliminate officers, cafeterias, and toilets. I'm just telling you, starting from the very basic thing. And of course, it did not happen. It took me about 9 months to reconstruct and remodel the toilets, but I said, you know, I will do that. I said, I will eat the same meal in the same cafeteria, in the same portion as you get. We have trays made of stainless steel, and this is what we did. You know, I tell you one thing, that I strongly felt that these people from the union, because I was starting right from the very bottom, they did not grudge me my Mercedes. They did not grudge me my salary, but they also felt that in some things there should be a social equality. These are 2 major areas. And now उसके benefits क्या है? उसके benefit ये है कि the standard rose up because departmental head had to go to the same toilet as his worker did. So the standards went up. Naturally, we spent a lot of time on training, and I can't do it. But I brought this social equality, and shortly afterwards, about 2 years afterwards, I gave them the same medical facilities as we were getting. I was entitled to a private room in the top hospital, but they were entitled to a general ward. I said, why should they be screwed around with social security hospitals and suffering? Because I felt I had 2 surgeries by that time, and I knew that when you are on the operation theatre, Allah ke bahut yaad aata hai, and you really feel that you are the best medical facility. Look, I tell you one thing, for 20 years, I'm going to divide my career in 2 parts, from 77 to 2000. You know, for 20 years, you know, I had the best possible relations with the team, of my managers and workers. I had no conflicts. And I tell you, okay, social equality का फायदा क्या है? I give you a little example how much it helps. About 83-84, मुझे phone आया Justice Channa कि जी I'm going to come and have lunch with you one of these days. मैं कहा जी कब बता देंगे? No, I will not tell you. I will only give you 15 minutes notice. मैं कहा if I'm not here, it doesn't matter. Canteen तो होगी ना. Director तो मैं कहा. So happened, he landed up 15-minute notice पे. I took him for the lunch, very queue, and he had lunch together. मैं कहा जी I'm intrigued. Why are you there? पहले मैं समझा कि हमारे खिलाफ कोई कंप्लेंट होगी. कहता नहीं ये बात नहीं है. I'll tell you what happened. Sir, I was hearing a case of a union which is saying that their management mistreats them, they don't even give them proper food वगैरह वगैरह. तो जो मैनेजमेंट का जो लॉयर था उसने कहा देखिए जी दुनिया में कोई कंपनी पाकिस्तान में नहीं है जहाँ खाना मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर और स्वीपर एक ही खाता है. तो जो यूनियन का जो लॉयर था उसने कहा एक कंपनी है एबर्ट लेबोरेटरी में तो वही खाता है. He said, I could not believe it, so I wanted to test it on my own. You know, I'm just telling you that I come from a military family, okay, and I believe, वो कहते हैं the elan of the regiment. ये मेरे सारा खानदान फौजी होता है, the first generation we know. Now, what is the elan of a regiment? देखिए, मैं actually I studied in England, so I can give you best the example from an English perspective. Buckingham Palace में जो लोग guard जो होते हैं ना, वो they call the guards, okay. The Coldstream Guards, Welsh Guards, Irish Guards, they are the cream of the British infantry. The cream. To get into that, you really have to be something. उनको कहते हैं उनकी चाल भी जो है ना वो बड़ी उनकी अजीब, उनकी अपनी चाल है, you know. And I felt that I wanted to give Abbott Laboratories a चाल of its own. The swagger. हालांकि जो राइफल गार्ड्स कैरी करता है वो बाकी फैक्ट्री वाले भी करते हैं. But I genuinely believe that I wanted to give this great sense of ownership, participation, and team effort to all the employees that work there. And as I said, social equality was one part of it, not the only one. And you know, I conscientiously worked towards it. And well before the term human resource was coined, I tell you, I was ahead of my time. I'm sorry, I may be thinking I'm showing off, but I'm telling you, I was ahead of my time. Because I strongly believe that a good company is one where not a few people do individually and give outstanding performance. A successful company is one where the average employee gives an above average. I think I मेरे पास 600-700 सेल रैप, अगर तो 600 सेल रैप में 15 लोगों ने 200% टारगेट किया, is that better if 600 sales reps did 15% better than the target? Obviously. And and mind you, I had a lot of help from that. But I applied myself toward that. Whether it was the use of cafeteria, use of toilet, how to dress, how to keep yourself clean, even a packaging girl, she had to be certified. So the amount of time and effort that I spent, I dedicated my effort towards development of the company as a whole in terms of training was, I think, one of the major reasons for success of Avatar. We became the training ground for the industry. We used to lose a lot of technical people. मैंने salaries बढ़ा दी, तो industry ने भी salary बढ़ा दी, तो हमने कहा कुछ नहीं कर सकते. So we just factored in. We used to lose 21% of our sales reps, because our training was so damn good. But we could live with it because we were growing. And let me tell you some of the major, I have great faith in Pakistan, we were all 100%. Now, good housekeeping is part and parcel of good manufacturing practice. Good housekeeping suffices to cover that. Unfortunately, जो आपने 150 लोग मरे हैं, there's lack of system and flaws in that company and in regulation. But let me tell you what I'm talking about. The level of, if you motivate and train, the level that people can attain. There was a president of Abbott International called Mr. Hudson. He came to visit Pakistan. And he was surprised at the level of housekeeping that we had. And he was really great. And he was a tough nut, I tell you. He gave me a lot of compliments and the whole jig bag lot. And thus, he was going from there to UK. 10 दिन बाद मुझे Abbott UK के मैनेजर का फोन आया. उसका नाम था डेविड गिबन्स. डेविड कहता है यार तो हॉटसन आया था, उसने हमें बहुत चढ़ाई कर दी हाउसकीपिंग के ऊपर. मैं अच्छा फिर कहता है go and ask Kamran how he does it. This is it. If you motivate and train people, a third world country had better housekeeping standards than the first world. And when I talked about sharing of reward and glory, मैं आपको ये बता दूं कि within 8 months of my becoming the chief executive, the chairman of the board of Abbott decided with his wife to drop into Pakistan. The chairman of the board of Abbott met my boss's boss. वो 2 दिन के लिए आ रहा है, मैंने अपने बॉस को फोन किया. मैं कहा अरे मैं क्या करूँ, सब just handle it. What would I do with it for 2 days? Just handle it. I go, why don't you come? I see enough of him. I want to see him. Anyway, so आप मानेंगे नहीं, 8 months into my career, we did not even have projector, overhead screen projector. So I told my guys, I said, listen, if I do all the talking, that's not going to be that great. So what I'll do is, I will do the macro side, and then each departmental head gives their own presentation to the department. And that's what it happened. हमारे पास flip charts थे. एक हमारे पास आया था with a very good handwriting. So he made in color these flip charts, and I did my presentation, and the others did theirs, and we gave a tour around, and senior managers all gave presentation. And Mr. Leder, when I was going to leave him to the airport, he said to me, Mr. Kamran, I've been virtually most of the big affiliates in the world, and I'm very happy to note that you did not hog the ship. He said 99% of the time, The chief executive doesn't let anybody else talk. Keep it down. That's the lesson I learned well. And if I look at glory, and this became a standard practice. Whenever we had the high-profile visitors, we involved a large number of people to give the presentation. उससे ये होता था कि एक तो everybody got excited about it. Secondly, it was also managerial development, and I tell you, it also gave a great sense of loss. जहाँ the rewards की बात है, मैंने आपको बताया that fortunately my company started to do very well, and within, I believe in compassion as the finest quality within a human being. I really sacked a person for competence. I've sacked people for integrity, but very rarely have I sacked a person for competence, because I feel that if a man is incompetent, it is not his fault alone. It is the fault of his supervisor, his manager, and the whole company. That when we hired him, he must have met certain standards, and the fact that he failed to achieve there must be an issue in the system as well. And I passionately believe. Very rarely have I ever said. So मैं ये बताना चाह रहा था कि now you would say कि then everything is hunky-dory, सब चीज मामला सही चल रहा है. Problem क्या है? Problem बहुत. But problems, I'll be honest, in the year 2000 were not internal to everyone. They were external. It was primarily the regulatory policies of the government. To register a product was extremely difficult. To get a price increase was even more difficult. And with these limitations and pressures from the government side, internal pressures, they wanted a minimum growth rate, they wanted a minimum profitability, they wanted increase in market share. How would one do it? How would one do it? That means the growth rate that had to come primarily from volume. Price increase all come over. So what we did was we used to launch a lot of new products. In fact, we launched more new products than any other company in Pakistan. And we had to think of innovative ways to improve the gross margin. अब आप कह रहे हैं ना कि जो मैंने पहले ही कहा था कि a crisis is too important opportunity to lose. Consider this. Okay, मिसाल के तौर पे we used to buy most of our raw materials from Western Europe or America, and China in the mid-80s started coming up. So we took special permission. By the way, उस जमाने में Cold War चल रही थी, East West होता. We took special permission from America. We have this odd circumstances where we do not get prices. Please allow us to buy raw material from China. We went on our own. And that is one of the major reasons that we were able to maintain a reasonable gross margin. So I'm saying it was adversity, and that led to that. Similarly, equipment. Because the margins were low and the imported equipment was only China had not become a major manufacturer company. It was either Swiss or German or American. We started a lot of reverse engineering. It was crude. But I can tell you that Abbott Pakistan, again I may be showing off, pioneered the concept of local fabrication equipment. Because I was working in engineering. मैं आपको मिसाल देता हूँ, an automatic labeler, which used to cost $60,000 Swiss. We used to have made at $5,000 to $6,000. ये था, ये ratio था. बेशक, the metallurgy that we had was very inferior. But labor shortage Pakistan में नहीं. Similarly, when it came to marketing and distribution, we had, you can imagine there were 5 years when we didn't get a price increase. How would you possibly manage to maintain the profitability? And again, a crisis is an opportunity. We started looking at a cost. उस ज़माने में मैं आपको बताऊँ that everybody went through a distributor or gave लंबाई credit. We had only one distributor. But fortunately for us in 82, he said कि भाई साहब, you became too big for us and you're paying us too little, so either you pay us more or you find somebody else. Never. In fact, we used to have a definition that if the guy is working hard, उसको appetitis हो गया. That he's got appetitis. He's working hard, he's doing okay. So these were the things that we came across, and my problems as the chief executive. At that time, we became a public listed company. We did extremely well in '83. We became a public listed company. It was purely issues dealing with the government, and that ultimately had a reflection on the head office, because they said, "हमें तो पता नहीं." देखिए, Americans की एक बात मैं बताऊँ आप जो मर्जी कह रहे हैं, मैं 35-36 साल काम किया, they believe in black and white. There is no grey area, good and bad. If you're doing good, what's the reward? If you're bad, okay, you get the job and you know the rules. उन्होंने कहा देखिए, everything is relative, you have to deliver. And we always delivered. I remember when being challenged, you've got your bottom line is low, you've got to give so much, so either you cut expenses or increase sales. I always increase sales. Out of 29 times, 26 times it paid off, 3 times I failed. But I always took the risk. I said, okay, I don't want my resources cut, because already our operating expenses to sales were the lowest in the international division. You cut into the bone. So these risks we took. But now I come to the second phase, and where I think the problems came of a totally different time. And where I came across problems which really floored me. जैसे मैंने कहा कि mergers and acquisitions have taken place all over the world, and in 2000, or end of 2000, Abbott acquired Non globally. Boots, पहले Boots थी, then became Non. Non was also a public listed company, the German company. We acquired Non. अच्छा हमें तो कोई experience था नहीं, and it was a legal public listed company. Legally we had no problem in this problem, but culturally the two companies were poles apart. Now I'll give you a little comparison. In 1980, I did a research. In 1980, Abbott Pakistan sales were only 20% higher than Non. In 2000, we were 3.5 times the size. उनकी जो unions थी, उनका मशहूर था कि उन्होंने कमरे में बंद करके खूब पिटाई करते थे managers. You know, the police had to come in. They were highly politicized. Their operating expense to sales हमारे 12% थे, उनके 19.5%. I'm not saying they were crooks or bad people, but it was a totally different setup. The managing director was there, a fine man, but it was a totally different culture. The absorption and merger of Non legally was the easiest thing that happened. We did very high from the best lawyers come, and it happened. But when it came to organizing the two companies culturally, I found it extremely difficult. I'm not saying it's their fault, and I consider that maybe the fault for the both sides, but to be able to bring them to the same cultural environment as Abbott Pakistan, it created a lot of problems. मैं आपको बताऊँ उस ज़माने में साबुन चॉकलेट भी देने आ गया, तो जनाब नॉर्नी मशीन में लटना पटना, we had bitterness, and I could not control them. You know, there were human relations because I alone could not manage it. Maybe the Abbott people were very arrogant. You know, they said, we don't know anything, but that's a mistake. And so the biggest problem in my 29 years came with the merger and acquisition of Non. Because, you know, for 20 years as chief executive, people knew me, I knew them. We were like a family. Literally, we were like a family. You know, we had no labor cases. We never went to labor court. You know, I was very generous to the union, in fact, to the point where I now regret, because it became so expensive that we stopped hiring permanent workmen.